right, we're on.
All right.
Hey, this is Vel Omarr, and we are talking soul. You know, we're gonna delve into a topic that I've been wanting to get into for a long, long time. And man, I am pleased to announce that I have just the guy to discuss this very important topic with me. And I want you to introduce yourself.
Okay,
My special guest.
Yeah, okay. First of all, I want to thank you for having me on. And my name is Larry Hilton-Cooke. I'm a pastor in Fayetteville, North Carolina, but I'm also a gospel singer. And I've also sang lead with the Soul Stirrers out of Chicago, Illinois. So, and I'm enjoying myself with Vel.
All right. So is that it? You want to extend it, or is that's pretty much it, huh?
That's pretty much it.
Hey, well, you know what? We're gonna get on into the conversation then, because man, this is been plaguing and bugging both of us for quite some time now.
Absolutely.
We met in the Sam Cooke fan club. Is that right?
Absolutely. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So
that's right.
I won't say that's when it started, but that's when the pressure became a little more intense.
Yes.
For obvious reasons we will get into probably. Yes. We'll try not to name names, but if we happen to slip, it's only because it was not by accident. Right. So I just want people to know that.
Absolutely.
You know, what were you saying, Larry?
I said, absolutely. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So we're going to try and keep this as informal as possible. Okay. And this is a pre-recorded presentation, but you will be able to comment our idea, you know, after we post this on either YouTube, Facebook, or both.
Right.
Now, this is our topic for today on Talking Soul. And nobody to talk soul about better than the soul man, the #1 soul man in my book, and I'm sure in Larry's book, the legendary father of soul music, Sam Cooke. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, you know, in particular, sounding like Sam Cooke. That's our topic for today. Sounding like Sam Cooke.
Wow.
Is it a blessing or a curse? Yeah, you heard me right. Sounding like Sam Cooke, a blessing or a curse. We're going to get into that and let you know exactly what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. How about it? You all ready? All right, we're going to jump right into it then. Okay, now, what is sounding like Sam Cooke? That's a question also. Many people think sounding like Sam Cooke is just trying to emulate his tone and do exactly what he was able to do exactly with his voice, where you cannot mistake Sam. You can't tell the difference, I should say, from Sam and yourself. And I say, no, that ain't it at all. You don't know what sounding like Sam Cooke is then. And maybe that's where the problem comes in. So to me, and Larry, you can jump in here, sounding like Sam Cooke can be either his tone.
Correct.
Yeah. Could be his delivery.
Correct.
Anything you might want to add, Larry? What else?
Even down to his mannerism.
Yeah, that's right. His mannerism, looking like Sam Cooke.
Right. Yeah.
And his texture.
Right.
And I have to admit, many of us, myself included, when we first heard Sam and we heard that voice,
yes,
we wanted to do it.
Absolutely.
Many singers who have gone on to become legends themselves, they wanted to do it.
Absolutely.
But then, you know, like they always told me, and they also told a friend of mine who became a friend of mine, L.C. Cooke, Sam's brother. Mm-hmm. There's only one Sam Cooke. Absolutely. As if we didn't know that.
Absolutely.
So,
yes.
So it's
Yes.
not about trying to be Sam Cooke. It's trying to emulate Sam in certain ways, of course, because he is who he is and he did what he did.
Yes.
And I myself see nothing wrong with that. But as far as trying to be Sam Cooke, you're right. There's only one Sam Cooke. And like
Absolutely.
LC Cooke told me, and there's only one LC Cooke.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And there's only one Bell Omarr.
Absolutely. There's only one Larry Hilton-Cooke.
That's right. So
Absolutely.
that does not mean that we can't pay tribute and we can't, even if we don't try, sound like Sam Cooke or Brooke Benton, Elvis Presley. A lot of Elvis fans, they turn out to be singers and they try to sound like Elvis. Some of them just sound like him, and they don't get too much feedback on the negative side. They get a lot of praise, as a matter of fact.
Absolutely.
But why isn't it like that for Sam? So is it with Sam Cooke a blessing to sound like Sam, or is it a curse?
Wow.
Let's give some examples. You know, when I first started singing, and I probably have told this story before, I was working with the guy, Ernest Thomas, from the What's Happening TV show.
Okay.
And he, of course, was good friends with Mabel King. I'm sorry, is that her name? Mabel King, yeah, who played his mama on What's Happening. And she was in the hospital, out at the celebrity hospital. And we went out there to do a show for her and all the other people who were convalescing in the hospital. So of course I did my salute to Sam Cooke, and the other people did whatever they did. So we went back to her room to talk to her privately, private audience, and she congratulated everyone for a grand show that we put on. And then when she got to me, she looked at me, kind of studied me for a minute. This is how she looked. You need to sing your own songs. That's what she said. I say, that's about it. So I say, okay. and then we went on to talk about some other things, but that it didn't stop there. Now, like I said earlier, the big pressure came when I joined the Sam Cooke fan club, and we had our first in-person meeting with the other members of the Sam Cooke fan club in Atlanta, Georgia, Marriott Hotel on Peach Street, I think it was.
Right.
And we were pleasantly surprised that most of the Cooke family was able to attend, and that's how we got to meet the Cookes. Yes. First person came up to me after we were all gathered and rehearsing what we were going to do. First person came up to me and said something to me from the Cooke family was a young lady whom I've grown fond of since then, because I found out she's a really lovely lady and good friend. But she came up to me when we first met and she said, "I hear you sound like my father."
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Well, you know, that's what they say." So she looked at me sort of like Mabel King did. And she said, "We'll see." The test was on. I'll pick it up a little later. Larry, I want to let you say something.
I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this. You know, when we went to Atlanta, we had a great time with the family. The family, I think the first family member I met was, I call her Aunt Agnes. And she welcomed us with open arms. She didn't care whether we sound like Sam or anything. It was just that we loved him. And by us showing our love in whatever way we could, she welcomed us. And then there was LC, and then there was David, and they just loved us, And I grow to understand a little more about Sam through them. And in spite of what others might say or feel, I got a pretty decent understanding that Sam was not really a jealous man or jealous of anything or anyone, and he just by his studying, I realized that he admired life. His admiration was in life itself, and he understood the business. He understood the business of music. And I was watching, I think it was American Bandstand, an episode of American Bandstand, and Dick Clark was on there, and he asked Sam, he said, what would you consider to be good or great or something of that sort? And Sam said, if all of my artists had hits.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that let me know then Sam, he wasn't worried about them overtaking him or sounding better than him or even sounding like him. He was interested in them being able to make money and him make money also, and them be happy and him be happy. That's what it was about. So we're just living his legend. That's all. We're not trying to be him, because no one can be another human.
Right.
No one can be anyone else, So and we're just, believe it or not, we're just some individuals that are blessed. We've been blessed to be able to sound this way, and it's not our fault. It's not our fault, A lot of people try to make it seem that way. And I think that's where the curse comes in at. You can go ahead. Yeah. You go ahead now.
Yeah. Well, it's and as a matter of fact, it's not a fault at all.
It's not.
I consider it a blessing.
It is.
Because one thing I like people to know, even if you are paying tribute to another artist, that's the thing that they should be focused on, that you think enough of another artist to pay tribute to that artist.
Absolutely.
And if you're going to pay tribute to that artist, you're not going to use that artist's voice. Whose voice are you using?
Thank you.
You're using your own voice. You're using your own talent. I mean, even if I was an impressionist like George Kirby or some other famous person who can mimic other people's voice and mannerisms. Mm-hmm. People like Jamie Foxx, he did a great job of mimicking other people, and a lot of other comedians, especially, they can mimic other people and sound just like them. So, yes. But if we think enough of those artists to actually pay tribute to them, that's a plus.
It is.
It should not be taken as some sort of put down of your own talent, because you're using your own talent in order to pay tribute. And if you can pay tribute to where people think you sound like that artist, then I think that's a plus. That's not a negative. Yeah, because I grew up in the South, up in the church, where all of the gospel singers, they didn't know they were trying to sound like anybody in particular, but that's how it came out naturally.
Absolutely.
And some of us just happen to have the same tone or timbre in our voices,
Absolutely.
That's right. So, that's one incident. But then go ahead, Larry.
Yeah. And then there are times when others desire to hear that sound in a living person, not just on a record. Mm-hmm. When I was approached by the Soul Stirrers, they weren't looking for someone that sounded like Brooke Benton or Elvis Presley or something. They were looking for a specific sound that really pertained to Sam Cooke.
Right.
And they were just trying to go with what was successful.
Exactly.
You know, you wouldn't look at the Temptations and tell them, you know, well, don't try to sound like this or try to sound like that. Try to sound like Cameo or try to sound like the Commodores or something. No, they became famous because of a specific sound.
Exactly.
And that Sam Cooke sound is the sound that really pushed the Soul Stirrers over the top. They were really good already with RH and Paul Foster. But when Sam came, it was a sound that really pushed them as far as gospel over the top.
Yeah, it sure did. It sure did. And, you know, you spoke of the Temptations, you know, like when David Ruffin left the Temptations or was put out, however that happened, you know, look at what they did. Dennis Edwards, you know, I mean, he didn't sound exactly like David, but look at the timbre and the texture of his voice.
Absolutely.
They were trying to keep that tone.
Absolutely.
And even in my group, I don't know if a lot of people don't know it, but I'm the owner of the Olympics R&B doo-wop group now.
Right.
And when the last original member left, when he died, he had me take over. He asked me to take over, and he knew because I would keep the tone of the Olympics alive.
Right.
And I could sound close to Walter. Walter and Eddie were good friends of Sam Cooke, by the way.
Okay.
And Walter had this tone in his voice, the nice, strong, raspy sound.
Right.
And very unique in its own way.
Right.
But that's the kind of tone that they wanted the lead singer for the Olympics to have. So it doesn't just apply to, I would say, individual singers, solo singers. It applies to a group sound, like you said, like Temptations, they wanted that sound when they replaced Eddie Kendrick.
Yes, yes.
Did they get a guy who had a baritone? They got another guy who did that sweet falsetto.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so, you know, sometimes I wonder, is it us? When I say us, I mean the Black folks. I'm going to just be candid about it, who are more critical of each other doing things than the other folks.
It is true. It is true. I mean, what do they have to defend about Sam? I mean, Sam lived his life and he doesn't need anyone to defend him. You know, especially someone that is just, you know, adding a tribute to his life. It's not like we're trying to take away from anything that he's done. And it's not that we're trying to steal anything that he's done, because anytime a person hears a sound that sounds like Sam Cooke, they're going to remember Sam Cooke.
Exactly.
You know, so we're not trying to steal anything from him, and we're sure not trying to be him or emulate his life or anything, you know. So I really don't understand it unless it's just something in us as a people that causes us to kind of hate one another in certain areas. I'm just going to be truthful about it. It causes us to hate one another, that maybe because it's something that they can't do.
Maybe
you know, you know, people get upset with individuals that can play basketball well, you know, because they can't do it, you know, or run a football or run track real well. And because we can't do it or they can't do it, they have a sense of jealousy, you know. And then when it's someone that is really as we would say, a superstar, they become really defensive. You know, for what reason? Well, the true reason is because if they could do it, they would do it, but they can't. You know, so, and that's where it lies. That's where it is.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and a lot of people don't know that Sam Cooke was accused of having everybody in his record company sound like him.
Absolutely.
and there were only a couple guys that I can just say right off that did not have that Sam Cooke
Right.
flavor going. Yeah,
Right.
one of them was Johnny Morissette, two-voice Johnny Morissette. If you all don't know who he is, look him up. And the other was Mel Carter.
Mel Carter, that's right.
Mel Carter, great singer, still with us.
Yes.
And you know, and Sam, I doubt, and I hope if Mel sees this, I hope Mel can attest to this. Sam never went back to them and said, "Hey, listen, you all, I don't want nobody in here trying to sound like me."
Right. Right.
That wasn't the way Sam worked or rolled. You know, Sam let you express yourself the way you wanted. Now he would be, I heard, a hands-on guy. He wanted you to sing it a certain way so you can convey a certain feeling. And most of all, he wanted you to enunciate. Like he told the Womack brothers. He said, if you're gonna be singing words, fellas, sing so the people understand what you're saying.
That's right. That's right.
So if you sing and you enunciate, should you be accused of trying to do too much Sam, sound like Sam? And Sam's own brother, not Sam's brother, Sam's his running buddy, I should say, Leroy Kroon. I complained to Leroy Kroon that people were getting on my nerves, telling me that every time they see me singing something on a video, their thing to me is, or in conversation to each other, is, well, there'll never be another Sam Cooke, as if that's what I'm trying to be. And some of my good friends, and they broke down in the end and said that that's what they thought. So, you know, it wasn't a good thing for them to do. But Leroy Kroon told me when I complained to him about that situation, he said, "Man, forget them people." These are his words. He didn't use no profanity. He was one of the Soul Stirrers also.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, he was a guitar player for the Soul Stirrers. Had a good running buddy of Sam Cooke.
Yes,
and
sir.
He said, "Man, forget them people. Who better to sound like than Sam Cooke? Don't pay them no never."
Thank you.
And that's all I needed to hear.
Thank you. Thank you. We all sound like someone.
Yeah.
Whether we want to admit it or not, because, you know, we picked up sound as children.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be a famous singer, believe it or not, you usually start off sounding like one or two other artists, and you'll develop your own style and sound through that. Yeah. But what better artist than Sam Cooke? You know, I don't know any better artists.
I don't either. I mean, I know a lot of great artists, and I know a lot of the younger artists. They came about, and then they got some criticism also of trying to sound like Stevie Wonder.
Stevie Wonder, right?
Okay, you know, and a lot of unnecessary criticism. And like you say, when we come here, as babies. We don't know anything. Everything that we learn, we pick it up out of the atmosphere. What we hear, what we see. All of these are the angels that God gave us, our feeling, touch, sight, hearing, and all of that. Those things allow us to learn.
Absolutely.
And discern.
Absolutely.
And so if we happen to use them to do better things and bigger things, then that's a blessing from God.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And if we don't achieve or super achieve as Sam did, that's all right. That's okay. Because that's not our life. Our life is our life.
Yeah.
You know, my life is not to be, I really don't even deal with Sam's secular music because it touches me in a certain way. I deal with his spiritual, his gospel. And because it touches me a different way. But even singing his gospel, I'm not trying to be him. That's ridiculous. You know, that's from somebody's wrong interpretation of what we're doing. You know, if they would stop even using the term Sam Cooke, I would still sound like this because it's a good sound.
Yes,
it's a good feasible. That's like saying, you know, well, I'm not going to buy a good car. I'm going to buy, you know, a Pinto, or not, you know, not trying to degrade any cars, but you know, no, I'm not going to buy that Mercedes or that BMW, you know, because you're trying to be like so and so on the block or whatever. So therefore, I'm going to go out and buy, you know, something that I don't know. That's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it will work that way if you allow others to make it work that way.
That's right.
You know, others want to be successful, but they don't want you to be successful.
Yeah.
I don't get that. And it is 90% in our people. 90% of that is us. You know, I don't have problems with a lot of other people. I have problems with us.
Exactly. You know, I had a conversation with someone who was a friend of mine, and they always, I guess, wondered why I didn't take more time only dealing with helping myself. They asked me one time, man, don't worry about helping helping these other people. Just help yourself. I said, wait a minute, I don't work like that. You know,
right.
I didn't work like that when I was young. I didn't work like that when I was a teenager. I didn't work like that after I grew up and became an adult. Because working by yourself is not how we were put here on this earth.
That's right.
I needed a midwife to help me be born.
Right.
You know, that's, I don't know if other people who may not know what a midwife is. This is before down in the South in Mississippi, where you couldn't get to a doctor or they couldn't get to you.
Yeah.
Then you had ladies who came out and they helped birth you.
That's right.
From your mother.
That's right.
Those were midwives. And so if I didn't have that person, then I may have had a harder time getting here. And so many other ways that I learned in the South growing up. We lived down on a farm and surrounded by cotton fields, bean fields, and dirt roads.
Right.
And everybody helped one another.
Right.
Everybody, you know, and if one person got in trouble in this neck of the woods that I was in, then everybody came to their aid. Therefore, we all could live a little easier, and we did not experience the same kind of open, outright, threatening racism. It was there, but nobody dared to come into where we were and assault anybody else without feeling that there was going to be some ramifications for it. This is down in Mississippi. I'm telling y'all, in the 50s. They don't show that part on TV that much. That's the way it was. And that was because we were together. And I learned from my grandfathers and my grandmothers and all of my uncles and my aunts. That's how you stick together. If you don't stick together, you know, you're out there by yourself. And it's like when they, on these animal pictures, how do these lions separate that big water buffalo? They first have to separate them from the group.
From the group, that's right.
And then they can take them down one by one.
That's right. You know, and as you were speaking of the South, how the South was, you got to remember that Sam came from the South.
Yeah.
You know, he came from Mississippi. So his internal feelings were that way, the same way. If he could help in whatever manner he could, he would. Yeah. Sam wouldn't be, I do not believe that Sam would be upset with us in any kind of way. I do believe according to LC, he would help. That's exactly what I do believe. He would see brothers trying to do something and he would do his best to help. I believe that. See, Sam, to me, he's part of history. And I understand a lot of history through him. And I also understand that Sam was more than just a singer. He was more than just a pretty voice or a handsome brother. Sam was a lot more than that. He was more in depth than that. Even his music, his songs were interpretations. Yeah. He interpreted a song differently. So that I cannot see a person that blessed not wanting to be a blessing to others. I don't believe that. Yeah.
So we're going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back. and we'll end this with some very important notes, and hopefully get some things resolved. Okay, so
Okay.
everybody stay tuned, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back. We are back talking about Sam Cooke, sounding like Sam Cooke. A blessing or a curse? Okay, here we go. Welcome back, Larry.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, I think it's only a curse if we allow others to make it that way.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is that they should love us and respect us, because we're really not going anywhere. You know, when Sam died, and I don't like to get into his death, but he left with a lot of things undone.
Yeah.
And he never fulfilled his greatest potential. So therefore, he left the world wanting more of him.
Yeah.
He left the world wanting more of that sound. His sound will never be old. His sound will never be, turned away. Even the youth are still discovering Sam Cooke. And a lot of times they're discovering him through artists like us.
Yes.
They're saying, ooh, you sound like someone, and who is that? Sam Cooke.
Yes.
And now they're going back and they're learning a lot about their history by us portraying Sam Cooke's sound.
That's right.
And I think that we should be embraced.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, younger people, are aware of Sam Cooke because of artists like us. I started singing Sam Cooke's music professionally in the mid 80s. And when I started singing and started putting on shows and telling people about it, some people who were my own age had pretty much forgotten Sam Cooke by name.
That's right.
When I would tell them that I'm doing a tribute to Sam Cooke, and they would say, Sam Cooke. And the way they would say it, I couldn't believe it, because I knew so much about him. But they would kind of study his name, Sam Cooke. And then I said, oh, darling, you send me. Oh, then, I know. I said, what? But and I would like to end by saying, Sam Cooke fans, whether you're old fans, not in age, but have been Sam Cooke fans for quite a while now, and if you are new fans of Sam Cooke, or if you are fans of any other artist, but especially in Sam Cooke's case now, if you're really a fan of Sam's, that's being more than someone who just loves his music. Right. Thinking that he's number one in music. Try to emulate some other of Sam's characteristics. Right. The thing that I believe got him taken out of here, actually, helping other artists achieve and realize and get control of their publishing. Absolutely. Give some thought to Sam other than just a singer. Absolutely. To me, he was the greatest. Yeah. But he was more than that. Like Mr. Larry Hilton-Cooke has said, he was more than just a singer. So try and emulate Sam in those other areas of his life. Be helpful to others. Right. I'm sure that came from his good Christian upbringing under his father and his mother. Yes. And the people that he was able to be around. Yes. So if you want to be like Sam, if you want to be a fan of Sam Cooke's, know that he was more than just the greatest singer ever. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Larry, you got something you want to end this with? No, go ahead. That was well said. Well spoken. So we want to take this up again and maybe deal with another topic on Sam. Yes. And see what else we can talk about concerning Sam Cooke. Absolutely. The father of soul. Some people call him the innovator of soul. A lot of Ray Charles fans have a problem with that. I had to study on it. But maybe we can talk about who is the next show. That's a good show.
That's a good show.
Who is the true father of soul?
That's right. That's right.
I'm not going to say any more than that. All right, Larry.
Take
It's been
care.
great talking with you.
Man, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Hey, and thank you for joining me. And we got to do this again because I think we got something here.
Absolutely. We'll get together again. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Great talking with you.
All right. You too. There.
Have a great one.
All right. You too. Bye bye.
Okay.